Welcome to Life is a Rollercoaster, a podcast about the past, present, and future of the events and attractions industry. If you like future updates about our podcasts, please like and subscribe.
Welcome to a new podcast, Life is a Rollercoaster, all about Sherman, the industry, the past, the present, the future, everything that's happening. So if you're into the attractions and leisure industry, this is definitely a podcast for you. I'm joined by James Mellors of the Mellors Group, and we're going to have a little look into the life of the Mellors Group. Hi, James.
Hi, Tracy. All right?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Are you ready to answer some questions that many enthusiasts will probably want to know the answers to?
I think I'm ready. I've never been one to shy away from talking, so I'm quite excited, nervous at the same time. I've not really done one of these before, so it's all new. So yeah, let's go for it.
Well, let's delve into that past. Right, what was it like growing up as in the Sherman family?
It was brilliant, to be honest with you. It's really hard to explain it even to my kids because I stopped traveling as such at the age of 4. So when I was born, I was in a small caravan with my mum and dad. I think it was probably about 20 feet long. That's all we lived in. And then my brother was born. And then my dad had a mission that by the time I was 4 years old, he wanted me to go to school. Because my dad didn't really have any schooling at all. And on the fairground circuit, because the business is moving, the showmen have to take the children with them. It's different nowadays because people can do the schooling from their iPads, the phones, but back then, none of that technology was around. So I didn't really travel all the time because my dad tended to try and make a base, which was in Nottingham. So I could go to school every day and then Edward, we could go to school, but of the weekends or after school, we still had to go to work. Not necessarily work as a 5-year-old, but we had to go while my mum and dad was working. So, if we were sleeping in the ticket boxes or whatever we had to do, but I loved it is the honest answer. I can remember memories that I must have only been 6, 7 at times. And I think, wow, I thought I was so much older than that at the time. The traveling around, meeting so many different people. And I think it's given me a good upbringing in life. I really do. I think that the street life, I ended up going to the Nottingham Boys High School in Nottingham from the age of 11. And I felt different is probably the answer.
Yeah.
A lot of things, I felt like I was quite streetwise. I'd been brought up out there. I already understood about steel. It's the things that have been brought up in the industry where you learn things through experience, I suppose, rather than just being a textbook. But the life itself was really good. I had hundreds of friends. I can't really complain at all. And then once I got to the age of 17 and I finished school after my GCSEs, I then started traveling the whole country. So in the younger years, we only used to travel around the Nottingham Derby area, really. That was the Notts and Derby section as it is. We used to stick quite local. The furthest we used to go would be Newcastle Town Mall. But as I said, yeah, life changed through every stage. And I think every stage of that had a key impact on me being the person, the way I am now. And I suppose the way we approach our business now. But I think I've drifted again already. The initial question was, how was it? It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And I think a lot of people on the outside, as a young boy going to school and things, back then, even now, didn't realize, who we were as showmen. Yes, we lived in a caravan. Yes, we were moving around, but it was part of our business. But as a life, no, really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting the different people. And especially now when you think about it, I mean, we're in lockdown again, where you literally can't get out and see anybody. I miss a lot of those friends, the people. I was a social person. And I think I still am a social person. I like to have people around, people to talk to, because that's the way we were brought up. When you're out on the fairs, different times, you'd have 1 week with one lot of friends, another week with another lot of friends, another week with another lot of friends. So yeah, it made you very social.
Yeah. Do you think that when you went to school and you was with people from other different backgrounds, did you ever question that you would take over in the business, or did you want to go off and do something else?
It was never a question. Never a question. I never had anything else in my mind at all. I think even when I went through to GCSE, I took up design technology, obviously for learning about the rides, physics. I took chemistry. I took foreign languages because my dad always wanted me to learn foreign languages for moving abroad. So we always had like the ambitions. But I think I always enjoyed this industry so much. There was never a chance that I was going into anything else. I mean, in fact, I've still got, and I'll have to dig them out for you somewhere, my GCSE design technology books that I was doing at the age of 16. And on the very back pages of the books, I've done designs of the crazy shake splats. So while I was sat in school at times, I was still designing things as we were going on. So no, it's always been something I wanted to do. I don't think back then I had the vision of probably being where we are. I think I always wanted to own a theme park or do something. And you know, I'm really proud to say that we've achieved really what I wanted to set out and do.
Oh, brilliant. Do you think that growing up in that environment changed you and more prepared you for adulthood than it would have if you did go down a more mainstream route?
I don't know. I mean, it definitely prepared me for the work we do now, for the industry we're in. But I can't say that my upbringing was any better or different to anybody else's. I think everybody will always say, you know, they've got the best parents in life. They've got this because you can only relate to what you have. So it's hard to compare it to other people's and say, you know, my life was better than yours. But at the same time, I don't think I'd want to swap my life for anybody else's. What I've done, the experiences I've had, the laughs I've had, the friends I've made. And like I said, that's not just from the early part, but I was fortunate to go to school every day. So I was fortunate to get a good education. I was fortunate to play rugby. I was fortunate to play rugby at a high level. You know, I was fortunate to still be able to get out on the grounds. Saturday mornings was always my rugby day, every Saturday. So my dad used to get me to rugby Saturday mornings, and then from there we used to get straight back out to the sites and things before opening at 1-2 o'clock. So I got the best of both worlds, fortunately. So I think that's something I've got to be extremely grateful for my parents for.
That sounds like a fabulous childhood.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
they
jealous.
were really. I think my mum and dad didn't want us to be just tied to the business as they were, and I think only school probably opened their eyes a little bit more to that, because as showmen, you know, we have showmen's football teams. We do everything together because you meet all your friends, and that's just the way it goes. But by being out of school, my parents had some friends locally anyway in Nottingham, and then going to school, I think my friendship grew, their friendship grew, and it helped you see the different side of life. And then like I said, we was fortunate to have the two sides and then keep them going right up until now.
Yeah, so obviously you're going through school and then teenage years, the coming of age of a showman when you get your own ride, how's that feel?
Well, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know. I don't think I get very excited very easily. But like I said, I think because I would help on the ski jump back in the day, and I remember, you know, my dad telling me to move out the way when they lifted the cars and things, because obviously they were too heavy, and I was probably about 6 or 7 at the time. But I remember picking up the bits of wood and just doing the bits of help. And then when we got the Twister ride, the Sizzler, which was when we sold the ski jump, I think we bought the Sizzler ride, I then started to do more and more on that. And probably, again, totally illegal and wrong now, but from the age of 13, I was probably setting up a lot of that ride with 1 and 2 guys.
Yeah.
You know, that was just life back then, and it was just a case of getting on with it. So when it come to the age of pretty much doing a ride on my own, actually, it was just progression. I never thought, wow, I'm now doing a ride. So yeah, it's a strange one, but the pride I had in the kit back then is still as it was now. And like I said, I'm quite amazed when I think back that I must have only been 12 and 13 at some of those times. But I actually felt, when I think about it now, probably like a 17, 18-year-old. The way I thought then, the way we was working on the rides, it's not the sort of thing that I'd probably see many 12-year-olds doing now. But again, time's different now.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do the things we were doing back then. But it wasn't out of force. It was just through wanting to do it and enjoying it.
Yeah. Obviously, say with working with family, being told to get out of the way and everything, there is that rule of thumb that you don't do business with family. So how is it working with your family?
I think, working with family is difficult at times. But I think we all get on as a good family. I think me and my brother are totally different, which helps. If Edward said something was black, I'd say it was dark grey. So anyone that knows us and works with us can laugh, because Edward would say do this and I'd say do that. We're totally different, but I think that is also what's helped us work. So I think when we first got Crazy Shake, because that's when I was 17, Edward was 15. I think I might have been 18, but we just got out doing the work and we were working together on the one ride. That was when we started to realize this doesn't work. We're too close.
Yeah.
If there was something like getting up early in the morning to get the fuel deliveries before opening, Edward knew that if he didn't get up, I would do it. So there was kind of always this bit of leaving it to each other. And that was them when we worked very well together when we needed to. We had set systems on the rides. For instance, I'd do all the cars and pack in the front. Edward would work at the back flash and work his way forward. So even though we worked together, we didn't. We kind of hit separate parts of the ride. You have a team, I'll have a team, and we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was the way we've always worked.
Yeah.
And then I think
that brings me nicely on to the next question is, have there ever been any sibling rivalry?
Oh, always. Rivalry, probably not. I think the biggest thing in rivalry is Edward's always said that he gets the rides up and down quicker than me. And to be fair, he probably does. We'll probably have to edit that bit though afterwards. But no, he has always managed. Edward's always been very organized. So he can organize people and he does seem to do things. Whereas I'm probably a little bit more structured in a way sometimes. If that was the way that I've always done it, I'll keep doing it that way. But I mean, Matthew has worked with us for years. I don't know if you all know Matthew, but a lot of people call him Matthew Mellors now, actually, but his name's Matthew Paul. He's been with us for years. And we'd say that every time we'd go and set a ride up after Edward, it would take us longer because we couldn't find half the pieces. but he could get them down quick and he could get them up quick. But we've
seen video evidence of that on a certain show that's on YouTube as well.
Have you? I don't know if he beat me on them ones or not, but yeah. So
hard labour, that was the one.
Hard labour, yeah. Well, we'll pass it. Edward was always organised, but I kind of Edward liked to just get on with his bits, and then I was, and again, get Edward on here, and he'll disagree.
We need to get him on.
That's the way we are. That's the way we are. But the thing about us is we do always agree on something in the end. I think Edward is always running, and let's say I could possibly be the one that's always on the brakes a little bit. Edward's got big dreams, big visions, and whilst we've both got that, I try to be, I'd say, more realistic. But again, the good thing about us is we both want exactly the same thing in the end.
Yeah.
I think the way I said it the other day is we both just have different roads to go to get to it. So we're both going to the same destination, but we'd both turn opposite ways at the traffic lights. He would take the risk that there'd be no traffic that way at the time of the day, and I'd go the other, and that's it. But we're both going the same way.
One's on the scenic route,
and it works together. Yeah. The combination between us, I think he's livened me up at sometimes and pulled me along and made me bit gamble a bit more, and maybe sometimes I've helped slow him down. I'm sure again he'd disagree that by slowing him down has worked. So I don't know, but that's our rivalry. But
we'll definitely have to get him on to get his side of the story.
And we get on well.
Going back to building up rides, have you ever had a favourite ride to build up or even operate?
I think younger days, I loved operating them all, to be fair, being young. I mean, I think the Crazy Shake was one of the favourite to operate, with the lights and the music and, when we got going on that one. But I used to love the Tropical Fever. I used to love operating that one because it was simple. You could see everybody's faces when they was going around. I had lots of fun with them. I used to stop it, make people laugh, and I used to look out to the crowd and watch them laugh. That was more difficult with a Crazy Shake because you didn't have the people's attention because they were flipping upside down and
Yeah.
one thing or another.
Yeah.
So with the Tropical Fever was good fun. I used to have good fun on that one. The Shake was just an element of pride, I think, because I was just, so proud that we'd gone from a Miami ride and an Orbiter up to something of that size and scale. So yeah, I think I could sit there feeling 10 feet tall. As far as building a ride, no, I don't think there's been any favorite. I think I really enjoy building the Mouse because it was one of those things with the cranes and you could do it quick and you could see, used to sit there at the end, put the last piece of track in, and then look back across the ride when you sat on top of it and think, we've just achieved that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the Mouse is quite a good one because people was quite amazed how it came in. How did it build? The Starflyer. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I enjoy building all of them, if you want me to be honest. I don't think there's any ride I could say I hated to build.
No. Do you miss that side of things?
100%.
Would you go back to it?
I do when I can. When I can, I'd like to. But nowadays, spending a couple of days building up a ride is probably not the best use of my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do enjoy it. I enjoy the time when we go down to Hyde Park because I have a couple of weeks there. And in between, I'll jump on the rides and help them build them. In Saudi Arabia last year, I did exactly the same thing. I think I was out there for 12 weeks. And in between in the office and doing the work, I think in Saudi Arabia, I was starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and sometimes not getting back to the hotel till 2:30, something like that, and then get up and do it again. But in the morning times, I'd try and do a lot of the work that I could. And if we were waiting for transport, or if there's something that I couldn't do on the computers, then I'd go out and I'd jump on a ride with the lads.
Yeah.
And I remember one night there was John Bagnall was out there with me, and a lot of the rides was just sat there, was waiting for bits and pieces, and the Top Buzz X, the Beast from Fantasy Island, was out there and it was ready. And we had a crane sat there, and I said to John, I don't feel like going to the hotel. All the lads had gone. There was only a couple of people. I said, I don't want to go back yet. I said, do you fancy just building this up with me? So we did. So the two of us got the crane driver because the crane driver was sat there, spoke to a couple of the guys and said, look, do you want to work a little bit later and then just come in later tomorrow? So that night we just built the Top Buzz up for the Beast because we just wanted to. So, and then that was really nice because when we came back in at 8 o'clock in the morning with everybody else, and we come over the bridge at the side of the site, and the ride was built. It was just sat there looking at everybody. So I think that was also a good thing to it. It's a bit of inspiration for everyone that when they left and they come back the next morning, the ride was built. Because I had a lot of new lads starting there. So yeah, I also like to show when we get new lads that I don't mind doing it. And I can do it. And I think one of the things I always said and always do say now, I'll never ask anybody to do what I won't do myself. So
I agree. Yeah. Obviously now, like you say, you do that when you can because you still enjoy that side of things. But now you've moved on to other things like having an amusement park. How does that differ from the old days?
Very much in the fact that obviously, like you said, I can't focus on one thing so much because now with Fantasy Island, there's so much there. There's so many elements. It's not just the rides. There's the market, there's the retail, the F&B, the caravan sites. So it's different because and at times when I walk around and I see bits damaged on the rides, it really gets to me. And when I see lights not looking 100% and things, I really want to get the rides and everything to where I want them.
Yeah.
But you have to try and be sensible then and put your business head on and say, well, actually, you know what? The rides are working. They're perfectly safe. They're doing what they need to do. F&B needs some attention, so we need to put the money that way. I'd love to throw all the money straight at the rides. But unfortunately, we've just got to get there slowly. And I think we have been doing that. But I think when you say, how does it differ? In my head, it doesn't. It's just, again, the progression through life, what we've had from going from a small ride to a bigger ride, to the Crazy Shake, to having the Crazy Shake and Frisbee, to then having Crazy Shake, Frisbee, Big Ben, to then having Crazy Shake, Frisbee, Big Ben, Mouse, to Crazy Shake, Frisbee, Big Ben, Mouse, Rapids, and then sell into a Top Scan. It's just the evolution through life that we've done. To be fair, that I think is very hard to teach someone. I think it's just been very fortunate, like I said to you, the upbringing that we've had and the way life has panned out for us, I suppose. I mean, don't forget, before Fantasy Island, we had Global Village in Dubai.
Yeah.
So, we went out there with an event, and we took out a lot of subcontractors, and then before you knew it, we had more and more of our own rides. So by the time our original time we went to Global Village, I think we probably only took 1 or 2 rides of our own, being the Mouse and the Runaway Train. And by the 4 years later, we owned probably 10 or 12 of the rides. So to actually then come back, and in fact, the last year of there is when we bought Fantasy Island. So for the last period of owning 10 or 12 rides out in Dubai, we then bought 30 rides and an amusement park. So it was that growth.
Yeah.
Actually, we got used to carrying on a bit more. But then Dubai finished in 2017, which allowed us then to focus on Fantasy Island. So I think the whole progression really has been a great step ladder where we haven't gone too far too quick and lost and took our feet off the ground too much to lose control.
Yeah. Obviously, talking about Fantasy Island, and I think it's something a lot of people have questioned as well, is obviously it was a good investment, but was there any other reason why the Mellors Group bought it? Is there any ties there for personal reasons? Is it somewhere that you've holidayed?
No, not at all. I mean, I met John Woodward a few years before when we bought the big wheel, which I think was back in about 2007. And he was a good guy. He was a really nice guy. And I remember when I went to meet him myself, I was only, what would I have been then? Early 30s. I went to meet him at a pub or a hotel not far away from where he lived. And he said to me, look, I've got other people that could be interested in the wheel. I haven't advertised it. He said, but I really want you to have this wheel. He said, I followed you and your brother. He said, I know you work hard. You're good lads. You're a good family. So I suppose when we got Fantasy Island, I was actually quite proud to be able to then look back and almost look to the sky and think, look after it, John. We've got it. So no, besides that.
Is it ever coming back? Is it ever coming back to Fantasy Island?
The big wheel? Never say never. That's all I'll say. Never say never.
Try and get an exclusive there and drop that one in.
Never say never. But no, there was no ties at the time. We were actually looking at a couple of places. There was a pier for sale at the time, a couple of other amusement parks, and I actually Edward did a tour, I think, with his family. I took my wife and children, and we did a tour, and we did all of the parks and everywhere. And then afterwards, I sat with the kids and said, right, which one would you like to buy? Because all of them was similar money, if you get what I mean. Some of them was a little bit less money, but less profit.
Are you allowed to disclose at which parks they were?
Well, one of them, Lightwater Valley.
Oh, really?
And Brighton Pier at the time. They were parks that we were looking at. But obviously both of them got sold on into different ownerships anyway.
If they ever came up for sale again, would you?
Again, I'd say never, because we were interested in all of them. We liked all of them.
Yeah.
We were also looking at other piers and different things in the past. But I think when I got to Fantasy Island, the one thing I liked about that is it was solid ground. I liked the fact we could do more with Brighton Pier. It's a beautiful pier. It was already working fantastic the way it was. And I think it's one of the most prestigious leisure attractions in the country, which was one of the things I think it was drawing my dad and all of us to it so much.
Yeah.
But Fantasy Island gave me and my brother so much scope for work. We looked at it and thought, actually, you know what, we could achieve something here. We could do something, there's space, there's things we can do. And the fact that it was relatively close to home. So it just fell into place and was perfect for what we wanted to do.
Oh, brilliant. And there's a lot of people glad that you got it as well. But speaking of piers, there are rumours at the moment that there's another pier for sale and names have been mentioned.
I think there's names mentioned about what we do at the moment. I mean, I've had different people applying for different sites, people saying that, we're doing this, we're doing that. So there's lots of different rumours. Some of them may have truth. Some of them may not. And we'll leave it at that.
Is that a little insight? Do you think there's any difference with working in Fantasy Island and then out somewhere like Dubai? Obviously, apart from the weather, is there any other major differences?
No. Rides are rides at the end of the day. It's like being a car mechanic. Once you get to know rides, you can turn to any. They've all got similarities. They're just different. That's all. So it's a bit like I say with cars. And the same thing then, sometimes you need a certain programmer because they're used to that type of rides. But mechanically and everything else, no, they're just the same. Different people, obviously, that's the thing. So wherever you go, we used to find that traveling again in the UK, different clientele. Let's say we went to Kirkcaldy in Scotland, would like different rides to somebody in Hull, and then you could take the same ride to Southampton and the people wouldn't like it. It was so strange that the different people, like Big Ben Tower and things like that, for instance. Let's say the Top Buzz. There's a great example. The Top Buzz and the Frisbee back in the early days were the big rivals in the way, because the Top Buzz just came out and absolutely cleaned the floor. Elliot Hall's Top Buzz back in the day, cleaned the floor wherever it went. It was just an amazing ride. I think it was 96, 97. What an attraction. And it really was. And then we brought out the Frisbee, and the Frisbee actually did extremely well and got very popular. But you put the Frisbee and the Top Buzz at Goose Fair at the side of it, side by side, and the Top Buzz annihilated the Frisbee. The people just drew to the Top Buzz at Goose Fair. Unbelievable. It was just, no matter what you did, it was just such a powerful ride back then. And so it should be. It was an expensive ride. It was way ahead of its time when it was manufactured by Mondial. So it was a brilliant attraction. But then we'd go from Goose Fair to Hull Fair, which is only an hour drive away. And the people would walk past the Top Buzz and not even look at it. Yet they would ride the Frisbee from opening till closing. So it was amazing. And even when we bought the Space Roller years afterwards, we just couldn't get the Top Buzz, Space Roller, Top Scan, whatever you want to call it, to work like we could the Frisbee and everything else. And it was just weird. So like you said, is it the same in other countries? Yeah, it's the same. It's just different clientele and just trying to understand what rides work and what don't.
Yeah. Obviously, on the subject of Saudi and Dubai, there's a lot of criticism about taking rides from the UK and Europe out there. What's your reaction to those criticisms?
What can I say? It's business, I'm afraid. At the end of the day, we've got to do what we've got to do. Like you said, a lot of the rides that we've taken out there are old classics. Let's say people like them here and everything else. But what can we do? Unfortunately, the business over in traveling world, like you said, even on the European market now, has changed. The German legislations have changed. They've not been as flexible as some other European countries. So the German market is having to change a lot of the rides anyway. Again, the German market, unfortunately, because I've got a lot of German friends, the industry is just not the same as it used to be. They didn't have the parks and things that we had many years ago. So the German fairs was always like amusement parks. Don't get me wrong, they still do very good. The big fairs, Dusseldorf, Munich, they're fantastic events. Stuttgart, many of them. But they're just not like they used to be. And I could say the same for a lot of the UK fairs. Nottingham Goose Fair, again, I remember being that 12-year-old having to push people off of the platforms of the rides because they were fighting to get on. And you had to, and I remember wanted to go to the toilet, and it wasn't far that I needed to go. I was literally just nipping around the back of the transport to nip for a wee quickly in between rides, and I had to just move with the flow of the people. It was just so busy. And again, nowadays that would effectively be too busy. So the way things are now, with crowd controls, different things, regulations, everything's more expensive, unfortunately, now. So the rides are more expensive. Everything changes. Like you say, the fuel, the transport, the insurances, it's just a change in life. But fairs are still popular. They're still going good. I think the Goose Fair and things, again, over the last few years has got more popular. It's been getting busier and busier again. So it's really good to see.
No, it's good, definitely. With the things out in the Middle East, are we ever going to see more expansion? Are we going to see Mellors Group events in other countries as well?
If you'd have asked me this question back in 2010, I'd have said we would never have gone abroad. So it was never an intentions. In fact, we were selling rides. we got to one point where I think at Goose Fair we only had the mouse. That was it. You know, our intentions was sell rides. You know, I wanted to settle down a little bit more because, you know, with a family, my daughter was born in 2009. So it was the case of, okay, what do we do now? We've got all the businesses. Do we try and diversify and do something a little bit different? And then 2012 came along where we bought the Star Flyer, started doing the work with the Olympics. Then 2013 into Dubai, which we never, ever thought we'd ever do. So I could never say never. I think me and Edward's got ambitions, but we haven't got a target, if that makes sense. People say to you, when are you going to be happy? What's your target? What do you want to reach? We don't have one, if you want me to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not actively seeking work in places, but if it comes across and we see it, then we're not going to turn it away. So we are looking at other opportunities overseas. We've got different companies and people talking to us. So, you know, never say never. We're building a water park at the moment in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, fantastic.
I'd never thought I'd be building a water park.
Will we be seeing any water parks over here as well?
Never say never. I'd like to say so, yes. We have plans for things like that in the future. But again, unfortunately, it's just financials. It's the right time. And the crisis we're in at the moment of COVID has set everything back.
Yeah.
Not just for us, but for the
that's actually my next question, is how has the COVID situation affected the Mellors Group?
Same as it has everybody. I mean, we've been fortunate, but, you know, thank God furlough's been in place and the government have done a lot of things to help out. But I think, fortunately, we were in a healthy position at the time of COVID. If we'd have bought another amusement park, if we'd have just bought Fantasy Island, potentially at that time, things could have been difficult. So I think, again, you got to say you're fortunate. My dad's always said, plan for a rainy day. Nobody expected it to rain for this long. So I think it's something we've always kind of been prepared for, but wasn't expecting anything like this. So yeah, it's affected us. It's definitely going to slow down growth, slow down progress. But the thing is, we will survive. Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know what's been happening in the UK with it, but what about overseas? Has everything been shut down over there as well?
Yeah, we stopped we were due to close on March the 18th, 2020 in Riyadh and then move on. We ended up closing, I think it was on March the 12th, and nothing's operated since.
Oh, not good.
So
not good at all.
We've almost been 12 months now with everything just sat there. So yeah, we've still got some guys there maintaining, just keeping an eye on everything, because we just don't know. You know, when this happened last year, we thought by March, April, May, June, maybe things will be up and running again. So we've left people there to get the rides ready again for starting out. And I think that's been the biggest problem for Sherman, the hospitality, amusement parks. It's just not been clear on anything, but it's hard to blame anybody, because I don't think anybody's been really clear. It's just been hard times for everybody, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think some of the guidance that's been put out has been interpreted so different in different areas that people just like, well, what do we do?
It's unprecedented, isn't it? It really is. And I know that word's been used over and over and over again, but it really is unprecedented. You can't even compare to this. People can't go back to the war and compare. You know, it's a different thing. But I suppose, like a war, you just don't know when it's going to end.
No, exactly. Well, fingers crossed for it not being too long. Obviously, when it is all over, what can we expect to see from the Mellors Group in the future?
We're ambitious. That's the thing. So there's plenty of things we're looking at. We've been trying to set our stall out. We've got some new rides still going into Fantasy Island that we've budgeted to go in from the previous year. So they were already planned. So they're still going ahead. So our idea is just to still keep running, to be honest with you.
Do we get any hints at what they might be?
I'd have to speak with marketing. But there's a few good attractions this year to change the park up again. And we've got plans again still going forward. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay, well, I think that's just about every question that I've got at the moment for this time round.
Okay, I don't even know how long we've been talking, to be honest with you.
I've no idea. I've not, just keep going with it.
But,
so no, that's all the questions I have for now, but guaranteed that I'll come up with some more. And if anybody else has got any questions,
it is quite enjoyable looking back and thinking about some of the old things that we kind of take for granted. And like you say, I think I mentioned to you once before that if I sit on an aeroplane, I never like to try and tell people what I do. I know that sounds bad, but I like to try and find out if you're just generally having a chat, what they do first. Because as soon as somebody says to me, "What do you do?" and I say, "I'm a traveling showman, but now we've got an amusement park and we do this, that, the other." For the rest of the flight, they just ask questions. I think our industry and what we do is so diverse and so interesting to many people, because people don't get the real insight of the industry. What we have to do. I mean, sometimes down to designing rides. I've sat in Far Fabries back in the day, the Big Ben Tower, we sat there. The Crazy Shake, I actually built a lot of it ourselves again as young kids, fitting on the panels. I fitted the lights. So I think so many people are interested to understand the business and the industry.
Yeah, do you know, I think we could do a whole episode of this on the Crazy Shake.
Oh, I know, and you probably have me crying at the end. I've actually got because I was actually talking to Freddie Stokes yesterday, a fellow showman, and I was just talking to him on another project, and we was just on about a song, and he said every time he hears Dirty Dancing, I've had the time of my life. He said I always think of the Crazy Shake. He said I used to love that ride, and I said I've actually got a playlist on my Spotify called Shake It's Great, and on my playlist is all the old classic songs that I used to play on the Crazy Shake.
Oh, you need to share that playlist. That would be fantastic. But of course, is it Iraq or somewhere that it is now?
I believe it is. Yes, it went to Holland. The guy that bought it out in Holland, I don't know if he just struggled with the workload side of it. Somebody said that he hadn't had a big ride before. And again, that's the thing with being a showman in this industry and everything else. You've got to be able to put your mindset to work when it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not very flexible when you open in town centres and things like Loughborough Fair, for instance, and they need the street clear by the next morning.
Yeah.
So you have to operate the rides and then get the rides down, dismantled, out, gone. If you have a hydraulic problem or you have something go wrong, you can't just say, "Oh, well, I'll leave it and come back to it tomorrow." That's the one thing we notice different with the park and things, that so many people can walk away with it, and that's one thing that frustrates me. Maintenance and that will all be able to tell you that. At times I'm like, well, if we was on a goose fair and we broke down for 3 days, we would lose the whole event.
Yeah.
We can't afford for rides to be broke down this long.
Yeah.
We need to get on to repairing things, getting onto things quicker. And I think, we used to pay over the odds sometimes to get rides repaired quicker. And I think that's the thing with parks. They've got more time, so they could take the time, but that's not the way we like to try and do it. We want to, if a ride's down, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So if there's a way we can get that ride up and going quicker and safely, that's the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got to that. But,
well, a little birdie did tell me though.
You've got too many birdies around you.
That as well as a showman, you actually also an enthusiast.
I think I am. I think that's just a part of being a showman. Like I just said a moment ago, Freddie Stokes remembers the Crazy Shake with the music on.
Yeah.
I think we are enthusiasts in our own way. As being a young kid, when a new ride used to come on a site, I'd have to go and see how it built up. How did it work? How did this do that? And just lately, I think with the power of social media and things now, I found myself not so much looking at transport. I'm not really a transport person. But when I look back at some of the older transport, I'm interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I am a bit of an enthusiast, really, and I like to understand people's views on what's their favorite roller coaster and why. And, when people start talking about Crazy Shake and different rides. So yeah, I think I am an enthusiast. I go to amusement parks and I just want to look at how does it work? How does this? How does that? I can't just walk in a park and be a general customer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know that. It's like general customer will walk in and go, "That's a nice roller coaster," and you're like, "Oh yes, Tacoma Boomerang, built in 1987."
Yes, exactly. And
you end up boring everybody.
The way this is done and what that's done. Is it a standard? Yeah. No, that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
So when the people, I mean, again, growing up in school, and people say, "Oh, I went to Goose Fair and I went on the red thing that did that," and I'm like, "So let me just work it. Oh, you're on about this ride then?" Yeah.
No, so I think that has covered everything for this show.
For the first episode.
But we've done it.
Of many.
We've done it. It wasn't that bad. It weren't that painful, was it?
No, again, to be honest, once you get talking, as I say, about these, the life and everything, I tend to don't shut up, because I do love it. I do love who we are. I love, what I am. I'll never forget that I'm a showman and my background and where we've come from. But I now enjoy doing what we do on the scale that we do it as well. From being that young boy, looking at the German fairs and going on those sites and looking at these rides and thinking, wow, we'll never have anything like that.
Yeah.
To now actually having it and being able to do it. So, I'm really proud to be able to look back and pleased of everything that we've done.
And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that's going to enjoy you sharing that story as well.
Oh,
I've really enjoyed listening to it. I really have. I've learned a lot.
Okay, all good. So we'll speak next time.
Yep. Until next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to Life is a Rollercoaster, a podcast about the past, present, and future of the events and attractions industry. If you'd like future updates about our podcasts, please like and subscribe.